So oil and sim here is long on a failed breakout. This is another example of, the trade that I, as a discretionary trader, never looked for. And we were talking about it earlier, actually, in the NASDAQ, like yesterday's sort of last trade before the end, right here. This long right there that's a failed breakout short. It sees that level right there. This bar is breaking through that level, and the prediction is failure. I would be looking for the short. I'd never, in the past, I never would have looked for the long. I never had a trade set up for that. And yet, so another case where the machine learning system taught me something about trades I can, ways to look at the market that I didn't look at before. I didn't plan that. I didn't say, hey system, show me failed breakouts. I just said, here's a breakout, make a prediction. And it turns out that it's predicting failure a fair amount of time, and it's getting it right enough that when you run the test for breakouts only, if you do only successful breakout predictions, predictions where it says the breakout long will succeed or the breakout short will succeed, you end up, it's less profitable than if you add in the cases where it says the breakout will fail. So long in the NASDAQ got filled on a basically a lucky entry here, because it's what I call a golden entry. It touched that level, but then didn't go any further. Right at the beginning, because the system's set to trade at 6:35 and not before, and it just turned. I'm trading with the normal model because the overnight range was less than 60 points. Now we're going to see if this little pullback is okay. So we're breaking through now. We just want it to go, and we're trailing by 20. What's the code that you have on there, David? Looks like we're going to get tagged here. Oh, it's really whippy, actually. Okay, so 11 tick gain. All right, so on the ES here, this is sim. Another case here where we get failed breakout short. So the breakout is short, the prediction is failure. You get long, and now we're looking for. We're already at 4 ticks, so stop is moved to entry -2, and now we'll see if. Go back up and revisit those highs or not. So the ES here trailing nicely on a just this is really just an amazing. I think that's an amazing trade. In the NASDAQ here, I'm missing this because the system's predicting that long there, but. I think that it looks too sideways, so we don't take that trade. It's because of that. The target for the ES is it's pretty far out there. I think that's what is that? Is it a 24 tick target? 32 tick target. Just so once we get up by 8, start trailing by 8. The ES is getting close to that target here. The code, let's see, it's 164, 101, and 154. Okay, so ES hit target 7.75 points. Why isn't that 8? I think I have this set for market if touched. I do, yeah. Okay, so the target is in the ES is market if touched. So instead of an 8-point gain, it's 7.75. And yeah, you can see it's looking like, gosh, you got out too soon. We'll see. Unfortunately, missing this move in the Nasdaq. We're at yesterday's high now. All right, so an order placed long. That's not a trade I would take as a human. That looks to me like you're chasing the market after a big move. We'll see.
Order filled.
All right, so a 10-tick stop there. All right, so there's a failed pullback long. So now we're short in the Nasdaq, and another quick stop. So minus 10 ticks. Oil went long down there on a failed pullback short. This is looking a little bit like one of these painful stops here where we got short and stopped out by a couple of ticks. Not clear yet if it's going to roll back over, and it's one of these tragic cases, but this is what happens when the volatility goes up. Order placed long in the Nasdaq here. Here's basically my last chance for the day, because if I get stopped out here, then I'm done. My max loss is set at 110, so 95 minus 50 would put me over that. Uh, 122, what is that? Failed turn. The market, you have a turning behavior short, and the prediction is that it's not going to turn short. It's going to continue higher.
ES order placed.
Order filled.
And then, okay, so NASDAQ is done for the day. And then ES, you're getting a very similar signal there. Failed turn, trying to get long. And the same result. Looking fairly painful here in the Nasdaq, and another case where just enough to get stopped out as the market then turns. In the earlier case, it wasn't tragic in that, and we're talking about right here, where you just get nicked, right? But you would have scratched as opposed to taking a loss. Here, we don't know yet if the market cranks higher here, then it's basically go cry in your beer. But as it stands, you instead of scratching, you're taking a loss. Your problem is you got to use a bigger target, a bigger stop to deal with that, and certainly in these volatile conditions, not something I'm willing to do. It's worth running some tests to see if a bigger stop with bigger targets, works better over a long period of time. So we can take the test we ran for the December-January time period, kind of before the volatility hit, using the 2017 model, and use a 20-tick target with otherwise the same parameters, 80-tick target or open target, and then a 20-tick trail, and see how that performs compared to the 10-tick stop. In general, I like the 10-tick stop because I'm aiming at smaller account traders, and they really can't afford the bigger stop. In normal conditions, it's often better, just because you survive normal random variation in price. But we don't need to guess. We have the tool now to actually just go run the test and see how well it works out, one way or the other. Okay, here we are at the end of the day. Max loss for me in the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the rest of the signals and see how we could have done. We're looking for we want the green and red arrows. So This is a little bit of a tragic miss in here. And there's a cluster there of 102, 101. There's a really aggressive long there. If you're in the short, the long here, you're not going to be doing that. But yeah, interestingly enough, you're going to get stopped out on this little pullback, and then you get 122. So I'm certainly a case here where if you're giving yourself more shots at the basket, then you're going to be able to take advantage of that movement. Let's see what else. You're going to get stopped here in those. Those are failed breaks. Yeah, okay, so you're breaking this level here. All right, so that bar right there is breaking that level. You'll notice that the way I define the breakout is you have to close below that level. So we're not predicting on these tests here, and these two bars are sort of testing that level. Okay, so you can take a loss there. There's a short here you're going to get whacked on. And then this long here, you're going to make a little bit at least. This is that case, that failed pullback. You're going to get an entry right there long. There's a long here. Again, the volatility is going to get you here because your entry is, well, actually no, you're going to barely survive here because this is a down bar, so you're going to get filled right there. You're barely going to survive. Your stop's going to be down there, and you'll get that little piece there. So then you won't end up taking these shorts because you'll be long. Let's see, and then you'll end up getting these short. You'll end up taking a loss on these shorts here on one of them. There's an interesting cluster there. That's, if you'll notice here, stepping back, and we're starting to sort of examine things in a larger time frame. You can see that the advance and then these two codes, right? 251, 201, 241, 285, 285. So that is looking like, okay, the market's going to turn. All right, so it's something to think about. I don't have a way yet to use that information automatically, but I am noticing it as we as we get to the point here where we're starting to understand how to look at it when the markets are as volatile as they are. There is a long there. You'll get stopped on if you'll get stopped there. And then let's see what else. And then we missed the nice short here. That's unfortunate. It's a nice move here. All the way down. There's a short right there that if you're still alive, you'll end up taking you'll probably scratch or take a small loss because that's an up bar. So you'll get either filled there, and then you'll get to scratch or first target. You may not get filled though, in which case it'll cancel. All right. What I found more interesting actually today, since I got stopped out, I hit the max in the Nasdaq, was the ES. So the ES ended up 3 1/4. And I want to show this. So the noise filter is set to 0. This is important because when we see what happens here in the ES today, you'll see what I mean. So here's the index open is here. Okay. There's a beautiful, beautiful long right there. I think actually this may have been on the recording. All right. So that's a failed breakout short. Now that's really an interesting code. I would expect those breakouts to be really useful in the ES, just the way the speculative traps get set up in that market. These here are happening because we've got that noise filter set to 0. So I'm not entirely sure what we would filter out with a different filter setting, but I'm trying to catch everything so I can see it, and then we'll reduce down from there. So if I have some time here when we're done, I'll do a replay with a different noise filter setting and see what the result looks like. In any case, we're trying to get long there, and we're going to take a stop, and then we try to get short. We get short there and scratch. It makes a little bit, just a few points. There's an attempt to, okay, so here's a failed breakout long. So this says I'm breaking there, and I'm predicting that breakout's going to fail, and we're taking a stop there. And then let's see what happens next. Along there looking for continuation. and another long there. Again, this is a failed turn. It says the market's turning, but it thinks it's going up. You can see it's a little similar to the Nasdaq earlier this particular time too, as well. Actually, where it's a little early, and the stop is you're getting stopped almost to the tick. In this case, to the tick. Then we get long there, make a little bit. This all looks really sideways to me. I would kind of expect this to get filtered out. We'll see. I'm going to try to get those replays done here and record them. In any case, a long here that's pretty nice because it's on a down bar. So you're making a full 8, almost 12 ticks there before it pulls back. I'm trailing by 8 after getting 8. So perhaps not the best trade management in the ES, not sure. I don't see this trade here being taken, so I think you're still in the other one. Let's see. Okay, beautiful shorts. Look at these just gorgeous short right there. Same thing, you know, that's making a nice amount. You know, that entry's at 65.75. Goes down to 62.50. So you're giving back quite a bit the way I'm handling that trail. Another beautiful, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous long right there. Again, so this is that code says I think that this pullback short is going to fail, and I'm going to get long. So you get this great entry right there, and you make something. I don't know where the flag. It's up here. Okay, and then a bunch more that look like noise to me. So we'll see if those will filter out or not, or when they start filtering out, and then what we lose as a result of that is kind of the question. And then here's a failed breakout short. So the market's breaking lower, and this says the prediction's failure, but that's wrong, right? The market's still falling. And then this is interesting. This is a turning behavior that's predicted to fail, also clearly wrong. All right, so now let me see if I can get a replay run with a different noise filter setting. So the thing to note here is that so end of the day, 3 1/4 points up on a lot of trades. So now let's see what happens next. Okay, so that replay is done. The noise filter here was set to 1, and our result is better, 550. Actually, you know what we didn't do is we didn't look at the exact number of trade. Let's get that up here. Period trade symbol ESM8. Hang on, let me. You don't need to wait for this one. All right, so that's 16 trades. Way too many in my view. So let's see what. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the trades, and then we'll come back and run another replay. And what I see is, let's see. So this, what I'm looking for is. That still looks pretty sideways to me, and so does that. Still see some trades being taken in there. And then what we don't want to do is we don't want to miss that one. All right, so this is kind of key. Let's watch that. And then like these, it seems pretty clear that we should be able to consistently catch that trade. There's a big move here, so we want to be careful there. And certainly, I like that signal. This one as well, so we'd like to keep these. Let me circle those and see if that makes it easier to analyze later. Again, this all looks pretty sideways and ugly to me. So taking the first 1 or 2, sure, but after that, I want to stay out of that chop. And then this looks okay to me. It just, I don't like the prediction, but taking the trade there is makes sense to me. All right, so now let's change our filter and see if we can see what the results are. All right, so that replay is done. I used 2 this time, and the result is worse. And the reason is it helps a little bit in the sideways rectangles, but we missed this nice one here and that nice one there. So that we definitely don't want that to happen. We want to keep those if we can. And it's a little better through here now, right? We're taking 1 trade in here instead of 1 or 2 instead of a whole bunch. It still looks like too much to me, and yet we're our performance is worse. I'm going to try a couple more settings, but in general, that would suggest to me that you need to keep that filter lower and then look at the individual codes and start trying to make some decisions on what codes to take as a way to deal with that, and then maybe some other filtering mechanisms. But in general, we want to be careful about optimizing to a single day, and then forgetting about the larger picture. So as it stands right now, I would want to, the filter of 1 was the best. This is 2. And so what we'd want to do is go back and run, and at least a month's worth of trading to see, okay, what is a month's performance using those settings. The problem is that the market's been so volatile that it's not really useful to do that. It's better to do that on like December and January, using a model built with data that's sort of through the end of November, because those were more normal times. Interesting. All right, so here is the result with the noise filter set to 3. It's a little bit better. And now I'm curious. I wanted to actually change to a conservative set of codes and run those same 3 filters and see what we get. All right, now this is 6 points using a filter of 1 and the conservative set of codes plus the breakouts. So let's take a quick look at that. This is video starting to get too long here. So we still catch that nice long right there. That's the one we want. This is looking a little better. And we still catch this, so we like that. And I'm missing that one because I think the O1s are not considered conservative. Interesting. That's a turning behavior. Okay, so let's take a look at the other filter settings and then see. I'm curious if a 4-tick range bar, if this turning behavior is okay. And we can add it back in. That's something to think about, and then run a broader test. All right, so that's 3.5 points with a filter of 2. So now what I want to do is let's add in the code for the shorts. Let's go, what is that, 201. That's that short turning behavior, which we have in the moderately aggressive, but not the conservative. Let's change this back to 1. And what I want to do here is see what that does for us. And then if that looks good, then okay, this is a set I'm then going to go use to train on a larger time frame. So let's go run this now. All right, so that gets us to 7.25. Looking up here. All right, right there. Because we're catching this now. Now, realistically, if we're going to put in the short turning behavior like that, the more aggressive turning behavior, we ought to put in the long as well. So that's a 101. So let's do that and run that. And this is getting to a point where it's close enough to be a baseline to then go test longer time frames. So let's test this now. All right, and so that is slightly worse. This is adding the 101 code. Now, that's actually deliberately taken out because in the NASDAQ, I very clearly saw that this noisier turn behavior was less reliable. In the ES, I still think it should probably stay there. So what I think we should do here at this point is use this as a base for testing now. So for members, those of you that have some time and want the experience, this is the conservative group here with the breakout group. And then I added the noisy turn short, noisy turn long. And so either test with both of those or take that one out. But this would be a good test to run on the models you have that are built with data through the end of 2017. So actually, it's the end of November 2017. So then testing with these settings for December and January to establish a baseline would be a very useful exercise, both for your own learning as well as just for the community. And report back anything that you find.
And then so for tomorrow, I'm actually going to run with, let's see, because it's more volatile, I'm going to go ahead and run like that. So I'm going to take out the 101, and then we'll make a decision in the morning based on what the overnight range is, and I'll move forward from here.